202 626 and 020. Okay, so starting with 202. This would include just at least two things, if at least just there's two things on the first one. There's one thing on the second, and then technically one more extra bonus one for the last one. The first two of 202. So we got a certain magical index, season 2, and what else? Oh, we also have the Great Gatsby. Okay, so a certain magical index, season 2. At this point, this is where Toma and Index are just basically like skirting along. It doesn't have to tell a consistent story. It really doesn't. This anime was really just its own thing at the time. So even for like the late 2000s at this point, it wasn't really so much to have like a identity for the cell phones, or even the fact that they were just expressing this controversial idea between science and magic. And it's like this anime was a little different for that. But it doesn't have to even take that deep anyways, but I'll do it anyway, so whatever. And I love this anime to death. I really do. This anime would just be like its own thing, just generally like feeling like a mood and aesthetic, because I'll keep saying that about everything I do, aestheticism and style. But I do love this anime. I just watched I finished an episode of season 2 earlier, it was episode 7 of season 2, and I'm trying to catch up with the second part of season 2, which I don't even have available on the Movies and TV app. But I'll have that on Google's TV, and I'll just watch the rest of 12 on there, and I'll be fine with paying for that. But different story. but why do I say 202? Well, obviously in relation to the season name, because that's how it's organized on the app at that point for the my desktop at this point. But they literally just call this season 2 part 2, and this is like I think in terms of the story for Angel Index, to the chagrin of Accelerator and Railgun, and even ending on the movie before they even make season 4, I feel like this is one of those times where they act like they know they're the shit, but they don't have to be like all knowing for that reason alone. It's like Toma has always been lucky to have that power of Imagine Breaker, and on his right palm of his hand rests the rest of his destiny. And it's not that he was never lucky to begin with. He'll say things like Ryan luck the whole time, cliches of the pending of that nature, and it's like, but he couldn't be any more wrong from the truth. I'll make this analogy, and I'll make it to the grave. Gravity Falls. How do you think Dipper and Mabel get that far into the story of the author, and even just delve into the mysteries around the Mystery Shack, and to not even know what they're doing, and still be better daring kids than anyone else, and not even like have to like be afraid of anyone like Bill Cipher or the hell Gideon, Gideon, anyone like that. Like, why would it not be like the case? They get so far without having any unnatural unbeknownst superpowers or skills or whatnot. They're just kids. They get that far regardless, and there's a lot of that goes even with minimalism, for that matter. Like very good, pure aesthetical minimalism. And that's why I'm going to draw that analogy with between Gravity Falls and the Certain Magical Index. Toma gets very far in the anime with just his power alone. And you would think that there are so many awkward circumstances where that would screw him over, where he just only having the ability to cancel all the superpowers is either broken OP or broken down bad. And it's like, but the broken down bad that Toma thinks he works with is not down bad at all. He actually has a lot more than he realizes. And even in the palm of his hand, of his left hand, rests his own destiny of knowing when to not hold his power against other people. And that's the integrity he has to live with. But that's at least with 202 for that matter. Another thing would be saying, I don't know, the Great Gatsby, okay? Now, how does 202 relate to the Great Gatsby? Well, it's actually kind of like it's very simple actually. It's the number that resembles the Rolling 20s, and it's like a 1920s for that matter. It has nothing to do with the Rolling 20s, but I'm going to just go with it. The Great Gatsby is a movie set in the Rolling 20s, the 1920s, 1922 to be specific, where Tobey Maguire's character is a writer, and then he joins. I don't hear a lot about this movie lately in recent years, even though it's been like the 100th century anniversary of the setting of this movie, like 2 years ago. But Tobey Maguire's character is a writer in the show. He's the Nick guy, and then clearly I just read the synopsis, but I heard about this before too. I have over the years, but he visits in New York, and he runs into a wealthy man, Leonardo DiCaprio's character. and some of the other not sellouts, not literally they're wealthy, whatever, but they're not even marketeers that matter. But I should talk about my butt for this. But Leonardo DiCaprio's character is the wealthy man in question that he meets, as well as his other surveyors, whatever you call them, superiors, not superiors to him, but they're on the same boat, I guess. But Nick's the only guy who comes from a middle class perspective, and he meets the other wealthy people, including DiCaprio's character, and like. And I think what the story's gonna, because the first impression I get before I hear about any of this over the years I've been alive, is that this movie is a historical movie. It's like a social studies movie. That's the impression I get when it's being shown in my high school, teased as something that we would watch. We didn't even watch that. We watched freaking Figaro 6. Like, that's relevant. sorry, St. Mary. That was already going to be the point. But, yeah, there you go. But, I hope I see you in my high school reunion, by the way. That'll be fun. But, it's not that Nick seems to overcome the troubles of the Rolling 20s and being a higher class of people, wealthy class, high class. I don't know what they call it, the middle class, high wage class. Like, if the problems that arise isn't Leonardo, if it's not really about Leonardo DiCaprio's character being arrogant, which I'm implying that from even the trailer. But if it's not just about Leonardo DiCaprio's character being arrogant and actually like going through troubles of the high class, and even posh shit going downhill, if it's not just wealthy shit going haywire, if it's actually like having actual problems in the 1920s, then I can resonate with this movie. But I will still find I'll for some reason I think I'm gonna find a lot of value if I watch this movie. And it's not like I didn't finish other movies in the meantime. Like I told you before, but not other streams, so I didn't finish other movies. But I think I'll really enjoy this movie if I watch it. Because I already bought Mile 22 and The Accountant. I'm playing, and even the Golden Compass right now. I'm gonna watch those for a second, but I think I'll really enjoy The Great Gatsby if I ever give it a chance, and as par with finishing more of a certain magical index, and that's the comparison I'll make for 202. What else? Oh, not 0202 yet. That's the last one, but we're going with 202. 626, and the only reference we got for that is Lilo and Stitch, obviously, because 626 was the number that Stitch was as far as the experiments were. There are a lot of people who follow this theory stuff and experiments, fun creativity and counting theories from the Lilo and Stitch cartoon for Disney, and it's like there was especially the creator Yunari, the artist who was a little bit popular on VidMe and even trended pretty well on YouTube over the years of being burned out. But Yunari would especially explain that she was a big fanatic for Lilo and Stitch. And Yunari would even as far as Yunari's obsession with Yumi Nikki or Yumi Tuki, she particularly liked Lilo and Stitch. And I think if you asked her on her YouTube channel, Art and Animation, what she thought about Lilo and Stitch, she'd tell you, obsess her. Almost as much as Sonic Adventures for that matter. But it's like, if you could call it even being a weeb, but I'm not trying to be mean about that. I'm just saying that that's an example I would give for it. Is that Yunari would especially follow through with the experiments as one of the many people who probably already did for the aliens in Lilo and Stitch in the cartoon spinoff. And it's like, but 626 literally just resembles Stitch, and the idea behind Stitch is that he's a mutation that he can just. It's not just so much the multiple arms or the super strength. It's the idea and the philosophy behind Stitch is that he's an anomaly. And there's a weird impression you get from that describing an anomaly when it's not even about the fact that they're literally an alien. And you can call an alien anomaly in the alien world. Well, what do you call more human in Lilo's world? It's just Aleohoha. Sorry, can't be racist about that. Ray made a video about that, but different energy though. But I already made a racist video about Reggie from A Million Rules too, but that's different. But those videos are cool though, not gonna lie. But that's what I get about Stitch being referred to as an anomaly, is that within his own world he's an anomaly. And what it tells you, I think that's one of the beautiful things about Lilo and Stitch as a movie in like the early 2000s, compared to Magical Index and Great Gatsby. It's like, because Lilo isn't more human than anyone else. Stitch isn't any more alien than anyone else. They're both just their own person. And that's probably what makes it different about what they consider to be the flower growing out of the sidewalk crack of an alien existing on an island on the earth. It's like, that is kind of the thing. Is like the blessings come where they do. the good things do come to those who wait, and there are certainly things like the absence of misfortune that we should be grateful for. It's like Stitch didn't have to land there on the island. Of all things, he could have died throughout the rest of the ocean because he's especially prone to it. But of all places, Stitch lands on that island, and it's like, do you see him as being meta or omniscient or some other shit where it's like, no, he's just an alien, don't overthink it. But that's me doing that for you. But like, but would it be that bad if he did die in the ocean and he never had to meet Lilo? Because at least it would have solved his problems of being chased by the other races. And it's like, save what you will, because they don't have like species following them in different races and shit compared to even the alien collections from like 626 and all that. But that's the blessing in disguise right there. Because instead of dying on the Earth, where he probably would have been safe anyways, just for a true rest in peace moment, he gets to survive in a way that he didn't expect. And even for an alien as simple-minded as him, that would be its own thing. It's like a very beautiful thing that Stitch didn't have to die like that, even get recaptured and even like brought to a worse lifestyle than what he was already living in the first place. But along with that, not only because family is who you choose, that's further the theme of that movie, but because even your life is what you choose. And there's something to be said about being seen as the outcast of outcasts, which I can rate very greatly. But there's nothing oddly specific about being a Hawaiian. There's nothing meta about being an alien. There's nothing such thing as perfection. You can't have two chainsaws, two flamethrowers, two machine guns on either arm and call it symmetry, okay? Screw Death the Kid from Soul Eater on this one, okay? That's not symmetry. That's just you being an idiot about something you think you understand. That ain't symmetry, Death the Kid. That ain't it. That ain't your Soul Eater, not... sorry. Sorry, I had to go there. But, two souls... No, go for it. Yeah, the Lilo and Stitch from 66. And we last one we got is 020, which I don't have a specific plan for what 020 is going to be. I'm going to say one random thing to represent 020, and that is Dungeons and Dragons. And I'm not going to mention anything weird like the movies, any of the 3, 4 plus of them. And I'm not going to even mention the fact that I played as a character class from the default ones that I enjoyed a lot. I'm not going to lie, I enjoyed playing as that main class. Not even for main character NG, that was a little different, but because there can be a lot of flaws with main character NG in general, not just be having superior complex. But I enjoyed playing Dungeons and Dragons. I enjoyed making that one clay dice I made for dying over dice in the claymation series set on this main channel on YouTube. So the dice that someone made for me, I used in the claymation. So anything related to a D20 at this point, not just 020 for whatever that means. I was gonna make a reference to the Bobobo, the anime, but because that's what the face reminds me of the number. But 020. What if it wasn't just literally H2O? What if it was like well, there was a cartoon series I almost made up about the pseudo Atlantis, where it was like they had this water world where a couple kids, best friends, follow their water monster friend into their pursuit of Atlantis, and they have a bunch of water creatures based on like how the water shapes itself. There's literally this one droplet monster that could hang from the ceiling and hit people from below. That's too inspired, okay? That's too inspired from aqua water, okay? Not Aquarius, that's different. Aquarius is an air sign to whatever, but aqua water, like the idea of like water droplets being their own creatures and shit. But yeah, the only thing that 020 can remind me of at this point is just a replay and a rebound going back to do a certain magical index, the anime, The Great Gatsby, Lilo and Stitch, and Dungeons and Dragons. Now, what do these 4 things have in common? What they have in common is the significance of justification. This makes no damn sense. This whole video was never even supposed to be like sensible in the first place. But I'm gonna try to draw a conclusion that makes this the most sensible anyway. So these all relate to obviously the numbers 0 and 2, by the way. So it's like come on, there's gotta be an analogy I can draw between these 4. What if I just rearrange the order? I'm gonna leave this open-ended with a few other things. I'm gonna make an analogy, and I'm gonna rearrange a few other phrases, and I'm gonna see if I can make this right. Shoot. Dungeons and Dragons is to The Great Gatsby as a certain magical index is to Lilo and Stitch. If you're going to have a story, it doesn't matter how close to a suspension of belief you get. If you get to a suspension of belief that people can believe in, doesn't have to be hard fantasy, like I said before in the one stream. Doesn't matter how close you get to a historical context, okay? Doesn't matter what references you use. Doesn't matter if it's Hawaiian or Academy City or freaking the rolling 1920s or even a medieval fantasy like D&D. Suspension of belief is very useful. You can get these things to work with whether they're actually down the woo-woo or not, as in the bad woo-woo of shizzle moments. But there is no obvious connection between these four things, or four series, okay? I'm just saying that in terms of the numbers 202, 626, and 020. Thank you for your time. There's no way I can end like that. There's no way. End card will end in maybe 650? Okay, we'll go to 1650. 1650, okay? 60 minutes, 50 seconds. There's no way I can end the video like that. But you get the idea, is that that's the hardest connection I can make right there. There's no way there's a connection between those four things, and I still had to force the connection anyways. But and then again, who am I to force that when I know that I could just be relaxed for who I am? Why can't I just be like how I'm planted, like Lilo and Stitch? Why can't I just be like someone who accepts what he's been able to do with things, whether they were to main character energy or not, like Dungeons and Dragons? Why can't I be someone who just generally knows that he doesn't have to be the shit while still being the shit, like in certain magical index? And why can't I just be okay with things being in the moment, in spite of them not meaning to be just as wealthy as the Great Gatsby did anyways?